Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Alula webinar. My name is Kevin Hoffman. I'm the Content Marketing Manager for Alula. And today we will be giving you an overview of the company from our CEO, Brian McLaughlin. On today's agenda, we will be first introducing you to Alula. We're going to talk about why we're the platform for pros. We're going to go through our market offerings. We'll talk about some use cases. And then as always, we will save time at the end for your Q&A. As I mentioned before, we've got a very special guest today. It's Brian McLaughlin, the CEO of Alula. He's got 25 years of leadership experience. He's the former president of Trimble Transportation Mobility, a global IoT technology company. He was the COO, then president of PeopleNet, the global IoT telematics company. He was instrumental in shaping industry technology and safety initiatives, and he became CEO of Alula in February of 2018. Brian, welcome to the webinar.
Thanks, Kevin. It's great to be here. I appreciate you having me.
So let's go ahead and get started. Brian, I've heard you talk about this in the past. Why don't you give a very high-level view of what we deliver to our partners?
Sounds good, Kevin. And I promise you, if nothing else, one thing, the story will be better than that picture you just showed of me. So I hopefully really hope to, if nothing else, to share, who are we, what value are we providing to our partners, and then what really makes us different versus all the other choices that are out there in the marketplace. We do what's called professional-grade smart security. It's really the combination of home security, home automation, and video all in one platform. And what makes this difference is really, 5 key things. First and foremost, we are 100% absolutely, positively focused on our partners, dealers, distributors, others. We never go around our partners. Second of all, we have a very efficient end-to-end platform. What does that mean? It means that we really provide the sensors to the hubs all the way back to the network, which allows for our partners to really have better costs from us, better service from us, and much faster rates of innovation because we really control end-to-end the capabilities that are offered to our partners. The third is our partners can use the same system for new installations, new customers, but also for takeovers and sunset. It allows for continuity, single source of training, and really, again, in many cases, a single SKU on the truck. Fourth is we provide what we call convergence technology. And what this really means is just that because it's a platform, it can plug in to many new models. Most of our dealers right now are struggling with trying to figure out how can I grow, how can I continue to grow my RMR, how can I deal with all the new challenges on the capital side of things, constraints in the industry, how can I do all these things? I need better, faster, cheaper, but I also need something that can give me new capabilities. Our platform, as been proven by our partners, can allow for expansion into beyond just residential security into small business. If a dealer wants to offer a DIY offering, aging in place, maybe a builder program, and many, many others that are out there. So it's one platform, many models, many sources of RMR. Last and certainly not least is our platform and our company really focuses more as a service business than we are a technology business. What does this mean? We take great pride in making sure that we're not only providing a technology platform, but we're also helping our dealers and our partners to sell, support, train, and deliver this platform to their end users and customers. We treat that as our responsibility to help them do that.
Thanks, Brian. That's a great high-level look at the company and why we're here. You're going to be hearing a little bit more about each of those points as we go throughout the presentation. And I'm really excited to show you what's behind some of those bullet points. But first, let's look at Alula by the numbers, Brian. Alula is a relatively new name on the market, but we've already got a lot of market penetration. We've got a lot of partnerships, and that stems from the fact that we've actually got a lot of experience in this business going back over 10 years now.
Yeah, Kevin, we kind of view ourselves as a 12-year-old startup. And the reason I mean that is that we're really the merger or the marriage of 2 great businesses, IP Datatel out of Houston, which really revolutionized the way communications was done in the security industry, and Resolution Products, which was originally out of Hudson, Wisconsin, which really led the industry in terms of engineering hardware, but also designing new capabilities for the marketplace from a hardware perspective. You put all these together and you get Alula, and we have this end-to-end platform that provides security, automation, and video, really being the triumvirate of services. But those companies were put together back in 2017. We now have over 300,000 hubs in homes connected. We've got 4,000 active partners that we work through to get to the marketplace. We're very proud to say we're growing about 50 to 60% a year on our strategic products. And what strategic products means to us is anything that's RMR driving. So and that really has been our focus, our main area of focus the last 18 to 24 months. We now have over 200 team members strong across Minnesota, Texas, and throughout the country. And perhaps the one I'm most proud of is we've launched 35 new features just in the last 12 months, Kevin, which is, I guess, allows for our partners to participate in this innovation mindset that we have. We're offering a platform, not a product, and that allows for our partners to constantly feel like they're offering the freshest new capabilities in the marketplace. We want to be that fresh new alternative for the marketplace because we all know how quickly things are moving out there with the big players like Google and Amazon entering the space and providing their own solutions. We need to give our partners a fighting chance to be able to compete on an innovation platform perspective as well as a cost perspective.
Yeah, Brian, it's absolutely an interesting time for the industry with a lot of new players coming in, some of which have no track record or history. But for us, it's really our values that drive us and that distinguish us. So, Brian, maybe you could kind of give us from your perspective how these values come to be.
Yeah, and I thought it was important to share with our partners out there what drives us internally, because I think without a good foundation internally, we're going to crumble in the marketplace. And we try to extend these values as much as we can. I'll talk about this a little bit later on, out to our partners as well. And we really live and breathe by 5 key values. First of all, we're scrappy. What does that mean? We're very flexible. We move quickly. This is the opposite of big, slow, bureaucratic. None of those are part of our culture or our focus. It allows us to move very quickly, not only from a people perspective, but it leads into the second value, which is inventive. We have an incredible team of engineers, product managers, all the way back to our support team that have been in the market space for many years and have actually invented much of the security technology that's hanging out there on the walls today. It's really in our DNA, and it allows us to be curious and say, how can we do things differently? How can we help our partners to do things better going forward? Third, it may not sound like it today because I'm selling a little bit here, but we try to be humble and a very high integrity. If we have a problem, we're going to tell you about it. If we're going to miss a release date, we're going to tell you about it. We hope not to do those things very often. But through all that, we're going to try to be that humble company that, we're going to let our laurels really speak for us. We're going to make sure that we drive going forward innovation and others that speak for themselves. The last 2, very market leading and committed. It really just means we're going to measure and deliver results for our partners. We're going to, again, make sure that we're overachieving in terms of support initiatives, whether it's how we track our support with calls coming in, whether we track activations and how are those growing, and how many of our joint customers are using video capabilities. All these are tracked and reported on, and we take very personally, are we helping our dealers to succeed or not in this battle in the marketplace? If we do all these things right, Kevin, we'll be that fresh and innovative alternative, for those partners in the marketplace, and that's really what we strive to be each and every day.
Yeah, Brian, as I look at these 5 values, it strikes me that they are also good descriptions of the Alula pros that I work with. When I look at some of the comments that are coming in on the Q&A, in the chat box here on this webinar, or if you go to our Facebook private group, the Alula Pro Installer Forum, these are the kind of characteristics that I see in our market professionals. We're out there solving problems every day for their customers, finding innovative ways to do security, video, and automation. and really weathering a very interesting time in our industry. So I'm glad that our values align with those of our customers. And speaking of our partners, Brian, this is a new slide. This goes through, it's a lot of different brands, but maybe you could also pick out a few and just kind of tell us a few, kind of interesting stories behind some of these partnerships.
Sure. As I mentioned, we've got now just over 4,000 partners. I couldn't fit them all on the slide, so we really had to pick some of those that stand out and are doing some unique things with the platform. And again, some of these are hardware partners, some of these are full system partners, some of these are just network partners. But we really provide a capability that you can pick and choose the pieces that works best for you. Most of these use us in their pro install channel. It's typically on the residential side at the core, but we've also seen some other use cases that I'll talk more about later, where specific dealers have really brought us in to solve a specific need. For instance, EMC and Floyd Total Security brought us in to help with their DIY programs. That ultimately led to working with them on the pro install side as well. But to launch a dealer DIY program, which we're seeing more and more of in the marketplace. Aging in place, Best Buy, great call, brought us in to solve a problem, to offer an amazing aging in place application that can be offered when you're trying to keep that loved one at home, but still monitor their activities. Builder programs, we have many of our, especially our newer dealers and partners like Turnip Homes and Southeast Wiring Solutions that have brought us in to address the builder phenomenon that's going out there, put the systems into the home from an IoT perspective, allow it to provide connected home capabilities that makes the home more attractive, but also offer core security as either an upgrade or, again, a value-added solution. And then, takeovers. We have a number of customers like New England Alarms and DeHart that use us for their takeovers and now leading into their sunset. Many of these customers are using us for their sunset issues as well going forward with our Back Connect line. But every one of these partners, dealers is a little bit different. And again, when we go on site, when we bring a new customer on board, the first thing we're going to do is ask questions. What are you trying to accomplish? And how can our platform fit into that scenario? It's not one size fits all. We don't put our name on it in many cases. We'll dress it up to be the name of our partner to make sure that they can get that branding or that messaging out of the marketplace as well. That's a big part of our focus going forward.
Yeah, there's big companies, there's small companies. You would never think that we'd be in business with Best Buy, but we're doing an aging in place solution with them. And what this really speaks to is the flexibility of the platform. And so you're seeing partners who are in slightly different fields who are applying the same technology and using it for a distinctive solution, whether that's dealer DIY, whether that's the builder market, whether that's aging at home. And so as you look at this, what I love about it is it really opens your mind in terms of how big our business can be as security installers. It's not just the old-fashioned intrusion-only security. There's so many different flavors and permutations and ways to do it. And so keep your eyes open to keep growing those accounts. We allow you to do this, though. One of the ways we make it easy is with all of the stuff that we provide to our Alula pros, everything from the welcome kit all the way to referral rewards. So, Brian, why don't you talk a little bit about this program and how we make it easy to become an Alula pro?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, Kevin, we're not only a product platform, we're a service business. And what that means is that we are going to help our partners sell, market, support, train, all the way back to, really making sure that our customers, our partners, and their customers are being served in the best possible manner. We'll never go around our partners, but we're going to help them to make sure that they can acquire as many for the optimal recurring revenue and to make sure those are very long-term customers of our partners. So we recently launched this Alula Pro program, and Kevin, you were a big part of that, so kudos to you and our marketing team. But it really meant to wrap together content and interaction as well as rewards, and all in one place. So if you are using the Alula platform, you can become an Alula Pro. And with that, you can get various stages and levels, but you can basically access up to 100 different videos telling you how to market and sell and support and install our product. But you can also interact with others in the forum and talk to them about what's working well and what's not working well across the board. You can talk to our experts that are out there. We've got some incredible team members from our head of engineering, Paul Saldine, to our head of product management, Dave Main, both of our founders, Russell Vale, Brian Seaman, are still part of the company here. They all participate in the forum to help and make sure that we are addressing issues if they come up, going forward, and they'll help to make sure that, again, we're taking care of and interacting with our valued partners. All that then leads into rewards, and we're actually in the process not only of offering this initial phase, but we'll be offering Alula points. You can earn points and redeem those for different types of rewards and others going forward. And this is a big part of this. We want to recognize those who are all in on us by us being all in on them. We want to make sure that they're getting the optimal value out of the Alula platform and the Alula business going forward here.
I can't emphasize enough the value of going to that partner resource center that Brian was just talking about. You've got some brochures in there that would ordinarily cost $5,000 or $10,000 for you to create for your business if you were to hire a graphic designer. But we're making them available for you and making it so that you can white label it, put your logo on it, put your contact information on it, print it up, and send it out the door. So the idea here is we don't, all of you guys don't need to be out there having to learn how to be marketers overnight. We're here to help enable you on that. Keep your mind focused on your customers and what you do great, which is smart security. We still believe the best home security is provided by professionals, and so that's what Alula is here to do, is to enable you guys to go out there and protect your accounts and do what you do best. And we do that with our smart security platform. So, Brian, why don't you take us through this, all the different components that we have, but it ultimately leads up to Alula's interactive experience.
Sure. And I think this is probably the thing that makes us the most differentiated in the marketplace is the platform. It's an end-to-end platform, as I mentioned before, which allows us to be very cost-effective. You've only got one pocketbook to pay, if you will. It allows us to be very flexible. There's no one but ourselves to talk to when we're deciding on our roadmap. We don't have to go to a separate panel company to try to get on their roadmap or vice versa. And it's lightning fast. It's built from the ground up with IP centricity, and what that means basically is when you hit a button on our app or you hit a button on the touchpad, the responsiveness is in a matter of a couple of seconds. You're not waiting 20, 30 seconds for long waiting latent networks to connect. It's built from the ground up to be very efficient. And I've had many customers say it's very lightning fast. That's the first thing they notice when they switch over from one of our competitors. The platform is really divided into four things. And again, it's end-to-end, so it's sensors to the hub all the way back to the network. But the first is this Alula interactive component, which is really the user interface, the end user tools that we all sell. We help our dealers to sell, help our partners to sell in terms of being differentiated in the marketplace. And this extends out to iPhones and Android phones, to tablets, to an Android touchpad that we put actually in the home, all the way back to our dealer web portal, as you can see on the right up there. The nice thing is it's all the same. You're not dealing with two different companies that have two different user interfaces for the end user. It's one seamless user interface. The second big piece is our Connect Plus, which is our hub-first panel. That means that it's a self-contained panel that, and we'll talk more about this in a second, that can connect to many different types of interaction with the customer. So it could connect to, again, the smartphone. It could connect to a touchpad. It could connect to 3 or 4 touchpads in the home. It really is up to you, but it gives you limitless flexibility in terms of how you install. And it's perfect for new installs. It also can work as a takeover option if you put a translator card within the actual device. The third big piece is our Bat Connect, and it's an award-winning platform. We won 4 big industry awards last year. Not to brag on those, because industry awards come and go quickly. you got to keep innovating at a very rapid pace. But we're very proud to take a moment and step back and say, what made it different? Well, it's a communicator, but it does so much more. And I'll talk more about this in just a few minutes. But it allows you to plug it into a Honeywell DSC Interlogix device panel and basically take that over and then modernize the home on top of it. The last of the four pieces is the video platform, which, again, all combined into one. Video, connected home, the core intrusion security, all these one platform, one place. That's really our message, end to end, so that we can integrate. I was at a conference recently, Kevin, and one of the biggest challenges heading to this marketplace is the complexity that is steamrolling many of the traditional dealers that are out there. There's so many different options and so many different things that you have to plug together. If we can put these pieces together and make it work seamlessly without having our integrators, our partners do all that work, we feel like we can add some additional value. And really that's what we're trying to get at here with our Alula platform.
The complexity is the enemy, and you don't want to have choice overload. We know there's a lot of other players in the market space right now. But really what's so exciting right now for us as a company is with the launch of Bat Connect, we now have a next-generation communicator that, along with Connect Plus on our video platform, they all drive you to the same place, which is this Alula Interactive Services platform. That's the app. That's what your customers are going to be interfacing with. It's going to be what's going to make their experience delightful. It's going to make them want to stay with you in the long term. So we're really proud of the app. We think it's one of the most important things that are part of any platform. But the great part about this now is that you can get that same experience whether you're on a touchpad, whether you're on a mobile phone, whether it's a takeover, whether it's a new install of the Connect Plus, even if it's just a doorbell, video only, as a starter system. So, and that allows you to then be modular and add on to the system to fit the customer's needs. So it's a really exciting time, but don't get confused. It actually is about convergence that makes things simpler for you and for your end user, because they only have to learn one interface, whether you're using the touchpad or the phone. I mentioned Alula Interactive, so Brian, why don't you kind of deep dive on this in terms of the app and why it's so important and how it works?
Sure thing. So the app works across mobile devices as well as a touchpad that can go in the home. The touchpad is actually an Android tablet that can be cased in a number of different options. It can go on the wall or on the countertop. It really depends upon the use case. But the nice thing is, again, it's a seamless experience from the end user's perspective to have the same thing across all these different interfaces. The nice thing about the app, too, is it's really evolved tremendously here over the last 12 to 18 months, and it's going to continue to evolve here going forward. I'll talk a little bit about our roadmap as I go through these, not to try to future sell, but more or less to make sure that people are informed of where we're heading. I mentioned we did 35 new features and capabilities last year. We're on track to do that again this year. I know it's early, but we're already moving quickly in terms of this year. With this, you can set up dashboards and only see the things that you want across connected home, video, which cameras do you want to see, or which sensors do you want to see. You can set up groups and scenes. You can have multiple locations within a facility and you can actually toggle between those. You can actually set up users and manage devices from the app. You don't have to go back to headquarters. You don't have to go back, pull out your laptop or desktop, and well, you can actually do that right from the user app. So if you're on a job, you can pull it up and address things immediately. The installer app is very easy to use and allows you to scan and add new capabilities very quickly. And then we have just recently added actually a text-to-voice option. As you can see out on the right-hand side, it can now talk to you. It can tell you the front door is locked, water heater leak is detected, the garage door is open, it's disarmed, or maybe there's a pool gate that's closed. It can actually now audibly alert you to these different conditions in addition to showing those as exceptions on the app itself. What's next? We've actually simplified the app immensely. You can see here some of the new icons. So it's very simple. You only see the icons that are applicable to you at that point in time. We're also going to be adding some additional security features. You hear a lot about what's going on with IoT and some of the security breaches we've all heard about with the Ring doorbells and others. We take security very seriously here. We'll be adding facial and biometric recognition as a way to get into the application here. That'll be coming up here with the next app. And we're continuously, making sure that we've got a fortified system, all the way back to the cameras that are part of our platform.
Yeah, what I love about this new touchpad functionality where it's speaking the zones, it just kind of shows how we're constantly innovating. Even after we release the product, we're able to push remote firmware into the field so that you don't have to roll a truck. Your customers automatically get the latest and greatest. And, one day they wake up and suddenly now they've got a touchpad that is actually able to speak the zones. And, of course, the installer will work with them to enable that feature remotely. But it's just really neat that they're able to get all this additional functionality without having to install a whole new product or install a whole new system. So it just shows how we're able to constantly push the ball forward and keep innovating. And one of the ways we're able to do that is this modular approach. I mentioned it earlier. It can be a little hard to wrap your head around, but I think this slide does a good job of showing the benefit of it. Brian, why don't you kind of walk us through what we're seeing here and how this works?
Yeah, this is Connect Plus, and Connect Plus in its purest sense is a panel, but it's a Hub-Centric panel. So it allows you to really plug and play different types of capabilities into your offering. Some of our most recent customers have switched over from more expensive alternatives, both on the network side, but also on the touchpad panel side. And they've said, I have to drive down my creation costs. In order to be competitive, especially with some of the capital constraints, I've got to make sure that my creation costs as a dealer are in line. And so what they've been able to do is come in and say, I want to offer just the hub. I want to offer IP only. If a customer wants to buy a touchpad, they can do that. If a customer wants to add cellular, they can do that. But they're going to run IP-centric, and they're going to have just a simple pin pad that allows for it to be UL compliant, which really drives forward with a very low-cost based offering. Now, the reality behind that is they may offer that as their lead solution. Typically, they're going to upsell many other things, but it allows you to get in the game against some of these DIY players that are going to come in and try to steal your customers with a very base offering and then dress it up over time. Again, our competition, everything's bundled together. You're going to pay for things you don't ever use. With us, it's very modular. You want to add cellular, you can. You want to add Z-Wave, you can. These are things that you can add if you'd like, if the use case exists, and allows you to respond back to the market need. As I mentioned, not only is it modular, but it allows for, again, lots of different interface options, phones, tablets, etc., and it's lightning fast. It's built that way down to the core. The IP centricity of it, even if you add cellular, which is most of our customers do add cellular on the back end. Once that customer walks through all the alternatives, the reality is that it's still lightning fast because of the way it's built, because of the way the protocol is designed. It's going to be a couple seconds or even less than a second in some cases versus waiting 20, 30 seconds to signal an alarm or to tell you that your door is open. These are things, once people start to feel delay, they stop trusting the system. And that's something that we feel like we've been able to really accomplish is that lightning fast protocol.
Yeah, modularity is the secret to unlocking this future value. One of the things I love about this is it allows you to go in with a low-cost solution, but you're not stuck with it. If later on your customer comes back, and we all know that smart home automation, that's something that is being adopted as we speak. And so your customer today might not want it, but 2 months, 3 months from now, when the neighbor down the street has it, suddenly they're calling you back and wanting that home automation. Well, you're not going to have to remove the entire system and start from scratch. All you're going to have to do is put an additional card into that Connect Plus, and you're off and running with what you already have there. So the ability to kind of upgrade the system on the fly, while at the same time having that option to go in with a low-cost solution. I mean, Brian alluded to some of the changes in industry financing that's happening right now. So this flexibility is more important than ever. And it's really Connect Plus that enables that. But we also, of course, have the Back Connect. And we all know about this impending cellular sunset and the chaos that it could potentially wreak on our business plans and on those accounts. So luckily, the Back Connect is here to solve that problem. Brian, talk to me a little bit about that sunset.
Yeah, so we covered the Connect Plus, which is really that hub first panel. The Back Connect is really a leading edge communicator. That's the best way to look at this. And this is really for two use cases, takeovers and sunsets. We're obviously in the middle of that sunset, as you mentioned right now, Kevin. If you want to go in and modernize an existing network, or if you want to modernize an existing home, this is the solution for you. And the nice thing is, if you just want to go in and take care of the issue, I just want to go in, I don't care about upselling and upgrading, I just want to get the customers through the sunset period because that's all I have the time for. This can be a very cost-effective but also feature-rich capability. And it does, again, it can be plugged back into standard tip and ring. It can also be full bus support. It allows for lots and lots of different capabilities depending upon how you want to connect this. Many of our customers and our partners now are looking at the sunset in a little bit different light, though, with Back Connect. And what they're doing is they're walking into the home and saying, or to their customers saying, what if I could come in and modernize your home? They're not saying, I want to replace your modem. They're saying, I want to modernize your home. And maybe you end up charging $250, $300 for a brand new touchpad and camera, and they get a whole new interface. And then you actually include the communicator, you include the Back Connect with that. The nice thing about this is, as you can see from some of the bullets here, but it's one SKU across Honeywell, DSC, and others. It allows for auto bus detection, which really allows for this simplicity in design. Again, it has really 3 paths of communication: Wi-Fi, Ethernet, 4G, and 5G. We'd like to say this is the last product you'll ever have to put in for sunset. Again, that's one of those things where ultimately the only time will tell, but because you're connected to the core, the Ethernet in the home, core IP in the home, and you've got 4G, 5G, this is that Sunset Buster program. We actually have just recently launched now key switch arming as well as the virtual keypad for Honeywell options, Honeywell panels that are out there. And it really, again, allows for our partners to go out and have a different approach to sunsets or takeovers. We're really seeing some great traction on this product in the marketplace currently. And again, it's one of those easy to install, but also very, very cost-effective overall, Kevin.
That's right, Brian. And, if you think about it, we're going out there replacing these 3G radios, these CDMA radios. This is like, 5 to 8 year old technology. Well, what has happened in that time, in that 5 to 8 years since these systems were originally put in? Well, the video doorbell has really come across and changed the industry landscape. Something like 1 in 4 customers are going to be looking to install a video doorbell this year alone. That gives you a sense of the tremendous opportunity that has been opened up by this new category. And all of these, sunset-prone systems are most likely not going to have that video doorbell, not going to have that advanced camera surveillance capability, all of these things that have really come across in the past 5 to 10 years and have really been changing the industry. So there's a great opportunity here, as Brian mentioned, to modernize their systems. You're not just replacing the radio, you're also giving them an app-driven experience that they haven't had before. You're giving them a video doorbell that they haven't had before. And as Brian mentioned, you're putting a radio in there that's going to go long into 5G. And so you're not going to have to worry about another sunset anytime in the near future. So this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity, and we hope that you guys are all out there looking to capitalize on this and add to the RMR that you're already collecting from these accounts, and certainly protecting them from other takeovers. And as I mentioned video, I mentioned doorbell. We've got a great video solution. Brian, why don't you walk us through what makes our solution different?
Sure. So our video offering could be standalone, or it could be combined with the other pieces of the puzzle, the connected home and the security intrusion piece. It's unlike the Rings and the Nests of the world. We're not going to sell against you. I see these new dealer programs being introduced by these direct-to-market companies, and I always scratch my head and be like, okay, you're kind of inviting a competitor into your home. Well, that's not what we'll ever do. We're always going to be partner-focused. We're always going to have our focus and support on making sure we've got the partners in mind. Well, our video platform is, again, like many things, we do it slightly differently. We have a hybrid storage model. What does that mean? It means we store all the clips in the cloud. We also store them on an SD card on the camera. And that means if you lose the internet, you're not going to lose those clips. They're actually going to be contained, and you'll be able to download them, or they'll be automatically uploaded when the connection is reestablished. We offer many different types of camera options: doorbells, outdoor, indoor, and we're always adding to that line. You can actually, through our dashboard, look at different cameras across different sites, and it's a very fast and easy enrollment. I was actually out at the house yesterday. I installed a brand new outdoor camera in 47 seconds. So it's very easy. Even I can do it, so it's not that difficult. But it's a very easy process to be able to add a new camera to the system. And again, you can either do that on a service call, or in some cases, for those dealers offering DIY programs, they actually can have an end user do that very simply. What are we working on next on the roadmap? We are working on a video verification application that, again, helps with, as alarm signals go to the central station, we can help with that verification process by augmenting them with video. That's coming up next here. We're excited about that capability, just to try to reduce the false alarms that are in the space. And we'll be working with our great partners that are out there to bring that to marketplace quickly going forward here.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that we're doing with video. It's probably the fastest developing area that we're working on technologically. I know another thing that's coming out soon will be video on our user portal, so that your customers will be able to go to Alula Connect when they're at work, and they'll be able to look at their doorbell camera, or look at their outdoor cameras, and be able to see what's going on at their home. You can already do that.
Kevin, that's actually a really good idea. Sorry for interrupting you, but we actually just launched about 3 months ago the capability to see the videos on the touchpad. So if you have a use case, you want to put a touchpad in the bedroom, one again on the entryway, you now can actually view those clips. You can see who's at the front door. You can see who's in the back patio. You can actually view those right from your mobile app on your phone, or on the touchpad that goes in the home. And as you mentioned, the next iteration of that is through the portal that our partners are using, that can be extended out to the end user.
Yeah, and it's not just seeing through the camera. You're also able to actually converse through it. It's got two-way talk, and so if you see somebody on your property that shouldn't be there, you can ask them what they're doing. If it's somebody that's coming to your door to deliver a package, you can tell them, hey, please just leave it around the side. And for that matter, when they do leave that package, you can keep an eye on it throughout the day and make sure it doesn't grow legs and go walking away. We've seen a rise in porch piracy that's been happening, and so it's all the more important to have these kind of cameras on site so that you can keep track of what's happening at your property wherever you are. We alluded to it earlier when we looked at that slide with all of our different partners on it. There's a number of different use cases, a number of ways you can use this technology to grow your business. Brian, these are 5 of them. Why don't you kind of tell us what each of these 5 use cases are?
Sure, and I'd love to just kind of fly by these with a little more detail. But I probably could have put 20 different use cases on here, but I think people would be bored and probably hang up at that point. But I mean, we've got really some neat value-added use cases. Technology offered to the marketplace without actual benefit is just wasted time. So with any of the use cases or any of the new pieces of technology we launch, we like to go out and talk to our customers and talk to our partners and say, how is it driving value? How is it driving down creation costs? How is it increasing your RMR? How is it reducing your service calls, whatever it might be. But through the power of the platform, we can offer lots of different use cases. And the 5 that I'd like to go into a little more detail on would be sunset, the Interlogix shutdown replacements, aging in place solutions, small business expansion, and then dealer DIY.
I know we're diving deeper into each of these in the subsequent slides, so let's just go ahead and look at it. The first is that Takeover sunset solution. We briefly touched on it earlier, but let's talk about this because it's the major value here.
Yeah, and this is not a new issue for anybody, right? Everybody's in the midst of it right now. Sometime between now and the end of 2022, depending upon which network and who you're believing, the networks will go dark. 3G networks will go dark, which means 8 to 12 addressable units in the marketplace will have to be upgraded. Even more than that, if you include all of them that are out there. The reality is that things are already starting to change. There are pockets, and how these sunsets happen is pockets of the network will actually start to degrade before the entire network goes down. So many of our customers have actually already started to swap out their 3G modems with the Back Connect and others. And, we stand here ready to serve. It's not something, again, that we like to have as a problem for our dealers, because we know that it can be from an expense standpoint. But what we try to do is turn this into the opportunity that can be out there. Again, first and foremost, very low cost, easy to install solution. It should be something that ultimately an end user could do by themselves or could be walked through with a dealer. So our Back Connect model and design is very simplistic in its approach in terms of how to get it into the home. The nice thing is once you get into the home, you can just do simple, basic alarm communication to keep continuity, or you can dress it up and offer all the other bells and whistles we've been talking about, whether it's the touchpad, whether it's the video capabilities or others. You don't have to touch any of the rest of the system. You just plug this in to the existing panel, and now, voila, you have all these capabilities that are enabled on the touchpad. And that's how many of our partners are looking at the sunset is, if I don't take the time to upgrade my customers and update my customers, of which the sunset's a good time to do it, when they get that call from SimpliSafe or they get that call from the other guys that are out there, then I've got a likelihood of a churn scenario. So this allows them to upgrade, modernize that home without having to really create a whole different disruption.
Yeah, and one group of people that were particularly disrupted this year were Interlogix customers. That was kind of a double whammy. We're already dealing with the sunset, and then suddenly we've got a major industry provider that makes news by saying that they're gonna go out of this business. So one of the things that leads is there's a ton of Simons in the field, a ton of networks and Concords in the field that still need to be serviced and still need a solution for that upcoming sunset. And luckily, Alula is able to fill that gap. So Brian, speaking specifically to our Interlogix dealers out there, how can we help with that situation?
Yeah, I mean, the Interlogix shutdown really, I think, showed us a couple things that we all took to heart. One is if you don't innovate, it's going to be tough to survive. The second is hardware-only solutions really are a difficult play, especially in a space that we're in. So again, that's why one of the reasons that we're vertically integrated is to be able to provide the end-to-end capabilities to our partners. But really 3 distinct solutions here that we've been able to provide. We've now converted over 60 Interlogix dealers into our platform, and with many more on the way here. Right now we seem to be in this, people have either decided and switched, or they're running through their inventory and they're planning on switching in the next couple of months here just to a new option. So Connect Plus can plug in very nicely as a hub and panel option. Back Connect can plug into your NX or Concord panels and again modernize for takeovers or the sunset. And then we have a new product coming out actually next month, which is called Connect XT, which is actually a card you can plug into your Simon panel and upgrade from 3G up to the latest cellular protocols that are out there going forward. And all these are done with the mindset of being very cost effective like Interlogix was, but also modernizing that home with the new capabilities. And so we're here for anybody who is still struggling with that Interlogix, what do I do next type of scenario. We've got lots of new customers that are happy to chat with you too, if it's something that you have reservations about or you're wondering what to do next. We really like the position we can offer to these folks.
Yeah, certainly the news of Interlogix set off a scramble late last year. Not something any of us were anticipating or any of us necessarily wanted, but we know there's a lot of people looking to help you out of this situation. I will say that Alula is really well positioned for those former Interlogix dealers. A lot of our engineers actually came from the former GE Interlogix. They designed a lot of this stuff. Our own Paul Saldin is the voice of the second generation Simon. And most recently, we brought on board Warren Hill as a director of partner development. He's a former Interlogix executive who's now going to be helping to drive our engagement within the professional channel. So we've got a lot of Interlogix stalwarts that are here. We understand those panels. We understand those communications protocols. We understand that technology. So we can really help you out of this jam. And that Connect XT is a really elegant solution. It's a card that just snaps right there in the back of the Simon. You can actually send that out to a customer, and they can actually install it themselves under your direction, so you won't have to roll a truck. So we've got, what we're trying to say here is we've got solutions for any scenario involving Interlogix. So definitely, if that's something that you're looking to deal with this year, be in touch with us. We can help customize a solution for your customers. This next slide is something that maybe some people don't think about when they think about security. I know that I didn't before I got into the industry, but the baby boomers are starting to get older. Some of us have parents who are in this situation, and we're trying to figure out how we can keep them happy and comfortable so they enjoy their golden years. So one of the amazing uses for our platform is as an aging in place automation platform that helps you monitor your parents and make sure that they're safe. So Brian, talk a little bit about this use case. I'm not sure if a lot of people out there are currently doing this, but I think it's a part of the industry that's only going to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we're seeing is traditional security dealers or IoT, connected home dealers are now saying, how do I get new market share? How do I get new market space? Or new entrants are coming into the marketplace and looking at the demographics, as you mentioned, Kevin, and saying, okay, baby boomers aging, there's going to be a tremendous opportunity for technology to solve business problems or solve human problems. And so the nice thing is we've actually worked with a number of partners. We now have about a dozen or so of our partners that are in the aging in place type of marketplace, offering solutions as either an augmentation of their core services or as their primary services. And if you look out to the right, we really do 5 things. We do activity monitoring. So is my loved one, are they getting out of bed? Are they cooking? Are they cleaning? Is the oven on or off? Are they moving? Do I need to be able to make sure that they're doing the activities today? So looking at those daily activities and then wrapping it back into models to be able to say, is there a concern or not? Caregiver compliance. So again, arrival and departure. Are the caregivers showing up on time? Are they leaving on time? And/or do we need to have video when that caregiver's there to make sure that everything's going okay? You all hear these horror stories about caregivers in some cases where and maybe they're not doing all the things they should be doing, and our loved ones end up being unfortunately the beneficiary of that. Intrusion detection. So adding that monitored security, making sure the vulnerable aren't taken advantage of. Life safety systems, smoke and CO, and this is actually one of the biggest areas of focus when you look at the aging in place and the healthcare side of things in terms of interest is really looking at smoke and CO because of the danger of leaving the stove on or having some other dangerous situation. And last but not least, adding lights, locks, and even HVAC controls going forward to be able to make sure that we can connect the home properly in to the activities that an individual who may be bedridden or others are actually doing. So well beyond the clapper technology that's out there from years ago, we've worked again through a number of different scenes and scenarios that are focused on this aging in place automation platform that's out there.
We've also got more detailed notifications coming out, and that's one of the things that kind of enables these sort of solutions where you'll really be able to look at and see every time a door is opened, every time a window opens and closes. And that's how you can make sure that your loved one is up and moving around and getting food. That same NanoMax sensor that can tell you when a window opens or closes, you can actually put that on a refrigerator, and you can tell to make sure that someone's actually regularly getting the food and water that they need to survive. So this is just another way of looking at some of that same technology, but it's an exciting time, and it's certainly one that's worth paying attention to. Another area that we see is potential for expansion is the small and medium business. And in our recent strategic partnership with Brivo that we announced last year around access control is really rounding out the offering and making this a real big growth area in 2020. So Brian, tell me a little more about our integration with Brivo.
Sure. It really allows, Kevin, for the triple play of intrusion, access control, and video. We're actually also in the process of integrating over to Eagle Eye from a commercial video capability solution. And we're bringing all these pieces together so that you don't have to go to, again, 3 or 4 different providers to put it all together. So we've got a phase 1 that's actually being launched at ISC West this year, that we're very excited about with Brivo, which again will bring together that intrusion piece to the access control piece in one seamless workflow. And that really is unique in our space, and we're excited to be bringing that together. But we're not ending there. Again, our Back Connect can plug in very nicely into other commercial panels, and our Connect Plus can work nicely in the small business environment. We're not really focused on the heavy commercial side of things. We're really focused most of our efforts here on small business. The last piece, and a little bit again of roadmap going forward, we will be launching a differentiated and what we expect to be, again, a leading fire communicator to the marketplace coming here in 2020 that allows for you to upgrade and modernize, whether it's Sunset or others, the fire panels that have been out there for many, many years. So we're all in on small business, and whether you're a pure business integrator or whether you are, again, a hybrid, you offering residential as well as small business, those are the types of solutions we want to continue to bring like we have for the resi side for many years.
Yeah, I'm super excited to launch this at ISC West this year. Brivo will actually be sharing some booth space with us, so they'll be on hand. So if you happen to be in Vegas during ISC West, we'd love for you to stop by and take a look at what we're doing with Brivo, as well as we're going to be showing off some new touchpad functionality. And, we've talked about DIY in the past. We talked about some of these new tech companies that are coming in with DIY solutions. I'm not going to mention them by name, but you know who it is. And I want to be careful to distinguish us here. It's very important to understand that we don't do pure DIY. We're never going around and going to the end user, but we are here to enable you in your go-to-market strategy to use some dealer DIY here. Brian, why don't you tell us how that works?
Yeah, I think it's important to note that the same principles that are out there for DIY solutions also exist for the pro install side of things, right? The solutions have to be easy to install. They have to be easy to understand. They have to be low cost, and they have to be end-to-end in terms of the capability, but all the way back to the fulfillment. It's got to be something that when it shows up at an end user's doorstep, it's configured, it's easy, and again, it's one of those things that's not going to create more cost downstream than it does revenue on the front side. So with those, we've taken our pro offering, and we've brought it over and said that we can package all this up and offer a dealer DIY solution, something that a lot of folks have called "do it with me," in terms of being side by side with that end user. And some of our partners have actually used this as kind of a lead-in. They'll offer the dealer DIY, but they'll have right next to it a professional install. We'll talk through the pros and cons of both. And right now, it seems like 8 times out of 10, customers will go for the pro install, just because at the end of the day, they don't want to deal with the hassle of having to maintain and support this thing or even install it on the front end. But just having this, I think, helps to a lot of our partners to play in the space and not lose opportunities because they're not DIY. They don't have that capability. We've seen a lot of different approaches. Some use this end-to-end for pro install as well as DIY. Some, bifurcate the solutions. They'll use a different solution for DIY than they do the pro install to create separation. We can work in a lot of different scenarios and environment. And again, because we are an end-to-end platform, the sensors, the hubs, network, all the way back to fulfillment. Our fulfillment happens right here in St. Paul, Minnesota. All these things can be brought together in a very nice turnkey solution for the marketplace.
If you look on the right there, this is one of our partners. This is a kind of an e-commerce storefront that they have, and you can see that they've got kind of 3 different configurations, the small, medium, and large for the Connect Plus system. I put that on there just to give you a sense of how some people are merchandising this dealer DIY or do it with me. The key part about this, though, is that you are still in control of that account. You still get the RMR. The customer can't add additional cameras without your permission. The customer can't switch over to a self-monitored system and cut you out of that RMR equation. So it's still professional smart security. It's just another way to go to market with it. It may save you a truck roll. If you have really savvy, maybe younger customers who are more do-it-yourselfers, this is a way you can compete in that space while still offering your value of that professional monitoring. So it's definitely something to look at. And our system makes it possible because of the simplicity of it. The same thing that makes it so easy for our professionals to be able to install it also means that with some help from a professional, an end user can also upgrade with your help by adding an additional camera, or as I pointed out previously, adding that card into their Simon model, that Connect XT card, and solving their sunset issues. I mentioned we're never going to go around you, and that's part of our promise to you, the Alula partner. We have a commitment. We take this very seriously. So, Brian, it'll be more coming from you. So why don't you talk to our customers about this?
Yeah, and I think, we talked earlier about what our values are. The values internally are only really important, I think, to you if they extend out to what is it that we commit to you as our partner. And I assure you 100%, if you were looking at me, I'd look you in the eye and shake your hand and tell you we are 100% committed to the following things. We are going to be 100% partner first and always. You, our partners, will drive our development, and that means those 35 to 50 new features every year are going to come from your suggestions, your feedback. We're going to take those to heart. We're going to keep you and your team ahead of the tech curve. And there's a lot of ways to compete if you're a security dealer or home automation dealer. You can do it on price, you can do it on service, or you can do it on product distinction. And the first two of those are really difficult. The last, we feel like we can give you that advantage from a technology perspective. It's not going to be the same as everybody else in the marketplace all the time. It's not going to be the same as the guy down the street. And if it is, it's going to evolve very rapidly each and every year. We're going to train your team. We're going to make sure they're updated, and we're going to make sure they become Alula pros. We're 100% accessible, including myself, up and down the management team. And you should feel like if you're a customer of ours, you should get white glove support. If you're not getting that, we will fix it. We will address it. We're not perfect. We do mess up. When we mess up, I assure you, we will correct the situation. We'll remedy things that we do wrong. That's one of our things going. Is that we're not going to be perfect, but we will fix the problems. And last is all this is backed by the best warranty. We're 5 years on our standard equipment. And I don't think anybody else is in that category. It really puts our money where our mouth is, Kevin, is that, you know what, if we feel so good about our products and our capabilities, we're going to put 5 years. And if it's not working, we're going to take care of it for you. If something's broken, we're going to fix it. If we're not supporting you, we're going to address it. We're going to listen. We're going to respond, because this is all we do. 100% each and every day, we focus on our partners. And it gets back to that being the key mantra.
That's as good a place as any to move into the Q&A. Brian, thank you so much for this State of the Union. It has been incredibly informative. A lot of exciting things happening in 2020 with Alula. One of the things I like best, though, is, as you mentioned, the access to the executive team. You can go onto our Facebook group. You can ask a question. You can have a suggestion for a new product you might want to see, and you're instantly going to see people like Dave Main, our head of product, will be in there talking to you and engaging you on that. This webinar, we've got our CEO here to answer your questions. And so it's a very accessible team who listen and who are very good problem solvers. So we really encourage you to take advantage of that. And in fact, right now, a great way to do that will be in this Q&A. So, Brian, I know you're a super busy man. You spend a lot of time talking to our partners all day long, but do you have a little time to answer a few questions that are coming in?
Absolutely. I'd love to. And again, thanks for the time, Kevin.
All right, let's get to it. Thank you all for being with us today. We've got a really long list of great questions here. Brian, you ready to tackle some of these?
Absolutely, Kevin. Looking forward to it. Lots of great questions. Looks like they are coming in here, so let's get to it.
And we've also, full disclosure, we've got our own Dave Main is in the background offering some phone-a-friend technical support. So we'll be sure to bring him in if you guys get too deep in the weeds with this. So it may start early on because we've got a question from Tobias here. Brian, he's asking if, I believe it's Bat Connect, if it has CE certification.
Yeah, absolutely. Our products run through FCC, CE, UL, and other compliance certification processes as needed. Some of this gets down to product by product reviews, but I would say the answer to that is absolutely.
Great. Next question comes to us from Jeff Klimek. Are there any plans to integrate with IP-based automation solutions such as Ecobee for thermostats, Levitron for Wi-Fi lighting, or any solutions other than those that are just Z-Wave based?
Yes, again, the answer is yes here. Some of these are cloud-to-cloud interfaces. Others require different types of wireless protocols. But our focus is to continue to build out the connected home and IoT connection points, so our dealers can add those offerings, whether it's additional thermostats, whether it's additional lights, locks, and doors, whether it's AV systems that you can build integration modules to. These are all on the roadmap and all part of our expanded IoT offering. The platform can do any of this. It's just a matter of making sure we're hearing the priority in the marketplace and then making sure we've got our engineers focused on the right things. So as you guys are facing this in the marketplace in the future, please let us know what you'd like to see. A couple of those on the list there are already on the roadmap and should be coming out here, I'd say, within the next quarter or two from a new capabilities perspective.
Excellent. Our next question comes from Frank Solomon. Frank is a great member of our Facebook group. I see him in there asking questions all the time and helping out his fellow installers. I've spoken to him on the phone myself. I think he's out there in New York. So, hey, Frank, thanks for showing up. Frank is asking, we showed some of the different use cases. What can we do to help support our installers in terms of expanding their businesses into these different uses? Do we have marketing materials or any kind of business plans that we can share with them that would help them accelerate that business?
We do, and we actually have launched recently here, and Kevin, you'll know this because you were a big part of it, but our Alula Pro Partner Portal, where you can get access to all kinds of information. And I won't say we have every single use case covered to the nth degree. We're continuing to build out capabilities and content, but you'll find in there examples for dealer DIY, or again, for installation of a DIY type of environment. We're working right now on making sure that our builder program is built out with all the supporting materials as well. We've got a lot of good feedback on that from some of our new builder-centric dealers that are out there. But I would say that we are good right now with the content. We're not great, but that's an area that we're spending a lot of time in building out more and more, so that you've got white papers and playbooks and others that help you to really address these new market challenges that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. I can tell you that my team is actually working on some of that right now, and so we're looking in the next several months to roll out a lot more marketing support, a lot more marketing help, and our ears are open. So let us know what you guys need. We'll get to work on it right away. Next question comes from Ron. He asks, this is actually a good follow-on from the last question. Ron Abney asks, have you considered an official model home program to help partners get builders on board and selling for us? So, Brian, maybe you could talk a little bit about our work in the builder space.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we've been working for the last year on different test pilots with builder programs, and again, working with dealers that want to sell to builders. We're not going to go around them. But net is we've got a program now that you'll hear more and more about here in the next 30 to 60 days. We'll also be talking about this more at ISC West. But it really allows for the complete integration of the IoT functionality with the security upsell, and allows for very flexible billing models between the upfront costs and then also the recurring revenue. It also allows for model home kits to be able, as part of the purchase commitment, to actually get model home kits that you can use to display along with the supporting marketing material. So we are right there on our launch point for the builder program. And thanks to a number of you who have been a key part of us testing that program out, as we see this as being a real nice growth market for our partners that are out there.
Yeah, I'll actually be, in a couple of weeks, I'll be down in Orlando visiting one of our builder partners down there, Southeast Wiring Solutions. So looking forward to seeing you guys. Next question comes to us from Howard Van Skyver. Where is your equipment manufactured?
So I'm guessing part of this question is pure interest, and maybe some of it has to do with all the stuff going on in the world. I know there was another question on the impact of the coronavirus. So let me try to tackle both those with one answer here. So our manufacturing is done in a number of different places. We do quite a bit of our manufacturing here in St. Paul. We do quite a bit of it also in Juarez in Mexico. Our printed circuit boards are still in the Taiwan region, but the parts and pieces and components come from all kinds of global providers, including some of those that come from China. But net is we will look to have 100% of our manufacturing here in St. Paul and in Juarez by the end of the second quarter. We've been going through that transition over the last 9 to 12 months. So just to give you an answer, we manufacture in both places. We do some kitting, some fulfillment, some light assembly in different places to make sure that we've got some redundancy and that we're localized. As far as the impact of the coronavirus, especially with Chinese manufacturing, we do have some parts and pieces, in particular some of the popcorn parts and pieces that go onto the actual circuit boards that come from China. And I think if anybody tells you that they're getting 100% of their pieces somewhere else, I won't say they're lying to you, but it's unfortunately most of the parts and pieces come from that region. So we are right now working through to understand what implications, if any, are out there in terms of our ability to ship. We do carry inventory here to make sure we can meet the needs of the marketplace, and we feel good about our inventory position. We've had some very minor disruptions even here in the last couple of weeks with a couple of products, but these are lower runners, and we've been able to get them backfilled pretty quickly. So it's a day-by-day, week-by-week changing thing, but I would just say we are looking at all options to re-engineer, to redesign, or to procure from other parts wherever we possibly can to get that product in so we have minimal disruption to the marketplace. And right now, I can't tell you that, yes, we've got major supply disruptions. I'd say, right now we're in a position where we're wait and see. We've got inventory. We can get through, certainly the next several months here, and we're just hoping and praying for this madness to come to an end here for lots of reasons, both manufacturing, but more broadly from a human perspective.
Yeah, that really brings it home. We're all hoping that this gets resolved relatively quickly. So our next question comes to us from Nikki. Do we do access control?
We don't do it ourselves, but we've integrated actually just recently here, and you'll see more of this at ISC West as well, with a great partner called Brevo. Brevo is the leader in cloud-based access control, and our system is now fully integrated, in particular with Back Connect as well as Connect Plus. But we've got a nice mobile integration as well as a data integration to have really, and we're really trying to create that triple play between access control, video capabilities, and intrusion capabilities. And it's something that we're very excited to get out to the market and start rolling. If you're looking for all three of those in one place, then we've got it now in a nice integrated package.
Yeah, very happy to be working with our colleagues over there at Brevo. They're going to be sharing some booth space with us at ISC West. So we hope to see you there. We could tell you all about our integrated solutions, which includes access control. All right, next question comes to us from Yosef. It's about a competitor. Yosef asks, can you discuss how you differ from Alarm.com's offering, please?
Sure, and I don't ever like to speak negative terms about my competition. Alarm.com is a great company, and they have a great product, and I'll leave it at that. I think what we've tried to do, though, is do things a little bit differently. And, net to a user who's trying to compare us to, if they've been using Alarm.com for a lot of years, they're going to find that it's an end-to-end platform. So you don't have to go buy a panel from one company and a network from a different company. What does that mean? It means that we can innovate more rapidly. We've got one level of support across the hardware all the way back to the network, and it can be more cost effective because we've got one pocketbook to feed. We don't have multiple. So I think when you look at the end-to-end model that we provide, it really gets down to the benefits of that, of being a more cost-effective provider in a time when the creation costs are becoming, incredibly important to all dealers that are out there as they try to again fight for cost effectiveness. We can provide them with a better and more cost-effective solution that is also again better supported and moves faster. The other part of it is because we're IP centric to the core, and our competitors are cell-centric, all the way down to the protocols, the responsiveness of the system is quote-unquote lightning fast. And I actually heard that from a couple different dealers that I was working with. The transmission times are, again, seconds or even sub-seconds rather than waiting 20 or 30 seconds for a response. And that's a big differentiation for us as well. I guess the last point is the flexibility. As we by design can be more nimble, we can be more focused, we can respond to the market. We have a product advisory board that helps guide our roadmap. We're going to listen to the marketplace and move very quickly. Our system's all about you. We do offer branding and white labeling in some cases. We allow for the system to become yours in a very flexible manner, all the way back to our pricing plans. We don't want you to pay for things that you're not going to use to drive the cost up. So we really try to be that flexible, nimble, end-to-end, very cost-effective provider that also has lightning-fast communications. That's how I would kind of sum it up for you, Kevin.
Yeah, Brian, that's a great summary. Joseph, thank you for the question. Gives us a chance to talk about how we differentiate ourselves. The one thing I will say is, as we all saw with Interlogix last year, I think that really brought this to the fore. If you want to innovate with software, you really need to own the hardware as well. That's what we're learning in this industry from some of the shakeouts that are happening. So that's one of the biggest things that separates Alula. We are an all-in-one partner. We provide everything from the sensors to the hub to the network to the app. That allows us to innovate faster, be more nimble, and gives you one accountable partner. So thank you, Joseph. Next question is from Scott.
Kevin,
Go ahead, please.
I just want to add one more thing to that. Most people in the industry know also that Alarm.com is very successful and very good at obtaining IP, intellectual property. And that's something that serves as a pretty significant barrier to entry for new entrants in the marketplace. We have had the fortune of working with ADC to get a license agreement, and it's mutual for the patent portfolio. So that really helps to protect our partners from ever having to worry about that from a protection standpoint. And I think that's a big advantage for our partners who want to have freedom to operate just like we do. I'd much rather spend that money on developers and innovation than I would on lawyers and accountants. And so I think we're in a really good position, and we're able to work that out with Alarm.com and again, really free up our partners from any concern that may exist out there in the marketplace.
Yeah, I agree with that, Brian. Really great to have that agreement under our belt. We can all now operate and kind of let the best system win. Question comes to us from Scott. Up to now, our company experience with video doorbells has not been positive. Far too many issues. He's talking about other video doorbells on the market, not Alula. So then Scott asks, what has Alula done to overcome the issues that exist in the marketplace with these video doorbells?
Yeah, and I'd be lying to you if I told you that a video doorbell was the easiest part of the system. I think a lot of people struggle with a video doorbell because there's so many variables. You got voltage concerns at the power. You've got obviously getting the chimes to integrate. You've got range issues. You've got all kinds of different things complexities that are added to a doorbell that aren't added to a lot of other pieces of the system. And so right now it remains one of the most complex areas. It is certainly it's one of those that drives up the most questions on our system as well. Being perfectly honest with you. We don't have everything perfected either. I will say we've come a long way, even in the last 6 to 9 months. We launched our video doorbell just over a year ago, And we've come a long way with getting a rock-solid platform on the video doorbell side of things. We've done things such as, we created a separate chime, a wireless chime, separate from integrating it into the actual doorbell itself. We've set up operating procedures for installation to actually measure the voltage and make sure you've got the right level of voltage before you go and put the doorbell on. We've also checked the range at the doorbell and make sure that you're working with any type of extenders or repeaters in those types of cases. But I mean, I mentioned earlier that I installed a camera in about 47 seconds. The doorbell took me 3 minutes. And that didn't include the physical installation, so that was another 5 because I struggle with a screwdriver sometimes. But the reality is it doesn't take long without the variables. The variables creep in if you're planned and you know how to address them. You can really manage down the installation complexity. And we put a lot of training bait behind this into our dealer portal, and it's something that we want to make sure that we're continuing to hear back from you and get better and better on.
Great. Next question comes to us from Nick. Nick says, the Alula solution is great, and the Alula installer app for iPhone is really nice, but not everyone is an iPhone user. Indeed, 85% of all smartphones are Android. Please tell me there will be an Android Alula installer app?
So the answer is yes, there will be an Android installer app. The timing on that is TBD, which means it's probably later on this year. So I wish I had better news in terms of a faster solution, but I do have some other good news for you. So Dave Main and Paul Saldine have been working very hard on other ways to solve this problem in terms of the installation tools. So the first is we're going to be adding an installer mode and installation tools into the actual Alula app, so you don't have to go to a separate app. You will be able to, but you'll have it all integrated in one place. So that's one area of advancement. The other is on Alula Connect. You'll be able to actually do a lot of the install functions, and that portal you can pull up through any browser on a phone or others, but you'll actually be able to go in and program the panel as well. So there's a lot of advanced functionality we can put into Alula Connect, which is the web portal, again, browser-based. You can access through that through mobile tools or others. So we're going to get you the Android version, but we're also going to do a few other things to make it even easier to install the system, which is our constant mission is make this thing super easy so that a professional installer or DIY, either or, could get this thing in place in a very rapid fashion.
All righty, next question comes from Ron. He asks, can the app be branded with my logo and contact info for my clients?
Yeah, the answer is yes, it can. The app can. We're going to have an end user portal here that actually you'll be seeing more at ISC West as well. That can also be branded. So we could do basic branding all the way up to full white labeling solution. And the fit there is depending upon the partnership level. With our new partnership program, you'll be able to qualify for different levels in terms of the branding that's out there, but all users will be able to do distinctive branding. We want this to be your brand, not ours. When I go out, dinner parties or whatever, people say, I've never heard of Alula, and I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'd rather have you hear of our partners' brands. I want to be behind the scenes because that's really our place, is to support our partners with their mission in the marketplace. I don't want you to hear about my name on the radio or other types of things. I really want you to hear your name, our partners, first and foremost. And so you'll be able to do more and more of this, but even today you can brand at various levels of the system.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only can you do the app, but we've also got all kinds of custom marketing materials available in our Partner Resource Center. So I would really encourage you to go check that out. You can put your logo on it. You can put your contact information on it. This stuff is ready out of the box. You could just print it up, and you've immediately got some doorknob hangers or postcards or even email text that you can send out. So a lot of great marketing materials there that you can use to push your brand forward. And as Brian said, we like to stay a little in the background and enable you guys to be the stars. Next question comes to us from Scott. He asks, one market we'd like to offer is automation only with no security. Can I do that with Alula?
So the answer to that is yes, you can. The issue is there still will be some remnants of security that the end user is going to see. So we need, candidly, we need to make that offering more elegant. But we do have, in particular, some of our builder partners that actually offer, and they start with home automation. So they're going to basically say, I'm going to offer you free home automation for lights, locks, and doors as part of the home sale. I'm going to pay it all up front. Boom, you get that for 2 years. If you want to add security, it's going to cost an extra X dollars per month. So that allows them to get in, to offer a better value package up front, but then they can upsell the security side of things. So that requires us to offer automation only as a capability, and then again shadow out the security side of things. We're going to make that more and more elegant going forward here, so that is something that you can do and have the end user only see and only ever use that home automation side of things. And we get a lot of questions about are you guys going to support, as was asked earlier, other types of protocols, wireless protocols, and other types of connection points. We have over 100 different connection points today on Z-Wave. We're working on more and more cloud-to-cloud integrations. That's a big part of our roadmap on the cloud enterprise side of things. But we will be adding other types of wireless protocols as well. Things like Zigbee and others can be added by simply dropping a new card into the hub. And that's because our system is modular, like we talked about it before, you can add and snap in a card very easily and not have to worry about redesigning or re-architecting the whole system. That's something that is one of our key advantages as the wireless protocols change over time. We may see a brand new protocol in the next 5 years. We'll be ready for it by just adding it to the actual board structure within our panels.
Our next question comes to us from a regular webinar attendee whose name I can never pronounce, AC Conti. Sorry, AC, if I got your name wrong again. I will pick it up and learn it one of these days. I'm doing my best here, so let me know in the Q&A. But anyway, AC asks, with the new text-to-speech function, zone enunciation, does that work with the Bat Connect?
Yes, and this is one of the really cool breakthrough technologies that we were able to launch with Bat Connect is you can actually pull off the commands from other panels, feed it through Bat Connect, and then have that enunciation occur. So yes, the answer is yes, and it's really cool. I've seen it work here with some of the early releases, and it's working quite well.
Yeah, that's a really fun new feature. Adds a lot of functionality for your end users, so we're really excited about that one. Next question comes to us from Michael Major. Will you offer an integration with third-party AV control systems like Control4 and Crestron? Yeah,
so the answer is yes there, and I put the yes in quotes because there's a lot of work to be done. I mean, the integration with Control4 and Crestron is something that's available to us and available to them. It really comes down to how does an integration work? What's the master? What's the lead app? What works with what ends up being the following application? But we are, from a business standpoint, wide open to those. Control4 is owned by Snap AV, which is a great partner of ours. So I think that when you look at that, yes, we're absolutely open to it. It's just a matter, we've heard this a couple of times. We haven't heard too many requests for it, so it hasn't made its way up the priority list. But the integration capabilities are there. We're fundamentally there. We just need to make sure we've got the right level of demand for it in the marketplace.
All right. Next question from Ron. Is Connect Plus compatible out of the box with any wireless transmitters, or is a translator required?
So Connect Plus, you can actually order a SKU that has a translator card in it. So I guess a short way to say is the translator, which translates the wireless sensors that are out there, can be standard in the SKU out of the box with a Connect Plus. You just need to order it that way, that I want the translator card in the Connect Plus. But it's not a separate card. You don't have to attach it separately. It's in the actual housing, and it's a separate SKU that you can order.
And, of course, if you're talking about net new install, we make our own translators, and those, of course, are compatible with Connect Plus out of the box. So that's another option as well. Ron had a follow-on question. Is Bat Connect compatible with older DSC panels?
So I guess I'd have to understand the definition of older. But when you look at the DSC environment that's out there, we do support the DSC Power Series, and that's been on the market since the late 90s. So I think, I would consider that to be older, although I'm dating myself there. But we do also integrate with Neo, but it's just the Neo panels, but those are just tip and ring, so you can't get all the advanced functionality on that. But we do support the DSC Power Series. If there are other older DSC models, by all means, bring those to us. If we can get our hands on them, we will work to integrate to them, as we've been able to do with so many that are out there. Because it's something that we started with the most popular panels that are out there. We got all those launched to market, and now we're adding more and more over time. We've got most of the majors. Here we'll be bringing in the Concord here in Q2. That's the next one that'll be delivered here in early Q2. But otherwise, we feel like we have all the majors. But if there's one that we're missing, by all means, bring it to us, and we'd be happy to talk and see if we can get it integrated.
Yeah, just following up on that, Brian, we actually have a wonderful compatibility chart that can kind of take you through and show you what kind of experiences you'll get on various panels, depending on how you're able to hook it up. That's available on our website today. We just completed that, and I've put a link there in the Q&A. So go ahead and check that out, and if you have any other questions, you can always call us at 1-888-88-ALULA, or you can email me at kevin.hoffman@alula.net, and I'll make sure you get an answer. All righty. Next question is from Doug Colby. Hello, the outdoor camera box says built-in strobe light and siren for active defense. Any word on if that feature will work in a future firmware update? Yes.
The answer is yes. We're actually working on a couple of improvements on our cameras. One is the speed. Just in terms of the app, we're doing a few enhancements as well, and then we'll be adding the siren and strobe capabilities that are built in. So I would estimate that to be sometime in Q2 for those to be available to our users. The other big parts that I mentioned earlier that we're working on is really the video recognition and video verification. So using the power of AI in the camera, but also in the back end to detect objects. Is it a car? Is it a person? Others? And then render that back to you. That's something that's in the works. Will be, I'd say, later this year. And then video verification also later this year to be able to provide video verification capabilities back to the central station so they can better examine in their integration back to the PSAPs. They can actually look at video in addition to just the standard alarm signals that would come through. So those are all in the works right now. But the sirens and strobe are easier because they're already in the cameras as noted on the box, and it's just a matter of getting those enabled. And so I'd guess Q2 on those.
Okay. Scott is asking, does Annixter or ADI already carry your product?
So yes, they do, and both great partners of ours. ADI offers the full suite across the board. The Connect Plus model is really more of an on-demand. If you have an interest and you use ADI, you have an interest in Connect Plus, I think you need to just talk to them about adding that, and that's something that we can work with them to get added. Annixter is across the board, across all product lines at this point in time. And I'd say all product lines, some of the low-running SKUs neither carry for obvious reasons. But yes, we're a firm believer in distribution, and we view both companies as great partners of ours, and we're continuing to build those out. So a little different scenario between the two, but both you can get our products through Annixter and ADI both.
All right. Next question comes to us from Brian. Brian's asking if we have any local reps to speak with so that he can see the products in person. What's the best way someone on this webinar can reach out to their local Alula rep and figure out who to talk to?
So I would basically contact us through the main numbers, through the main sales numbers on the website. really, or get email through the follow-up on this, and we'll make it super easy for you. If you're not getting an answer, email me directly. I'll make sure somebody follows up. There's nothing worse than asking for information and not getting the follow-up after you're showing interest. So we'll make sure that's all published. But there are contact info for our sales group. There's again for our partners. And if all else fails, by all means, contact me, and we'll make sure somebody follows up. We have reps throughout the country that partner with the distributors in those areas as well. So you can either see the product from one of our reps or most distributors that can also show you the product, and we can set up something there. It really is up to your preference in terms of making sure that we get the right follow-up.
Well, Brian, since you extended the offer, I went ahead and put your email address in the chat. I hope that you don't get bombarded with spam. But to all you out there listening, Brian, you heard him say it. If all else fails, you can feel free to email him. So we'll make sure it gets routed to the right place. Next question comes to us from Jeff. He says he was recently told that the GE Interlogix Concord is not supported by Bat Connect. He's wondering if it works now or will be working there soon.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, but Concord is Q2. And then the only one that of the majors is really missing is NAPCO is also coming here, towards the beginning of Q2. So NAPCO and Concord really are the next maybe the final pieces of the puzzle. And then after that, it's maybe smaller, more discrete panels that may exist out there. But again, bring those to us, and we can do our best to engineer a way to get those integrated.
Ron's asking, is there any way that we could do marketing referrals through the app, prompting clients to invite their friends to the dealer's page so that they can get an installation if they like their friends? What do you think of that, Brian? Are we looking at any kind of referral capabilities within that app?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. We don't have it today. We talked about it. That also in terms of in-app marketing, in-app support. We want to make that app more of a dealer partner communications tool with our customers if they choose it to be. And so those things we have on a roadmap. They haven't risen to the top yet. I would guess you'll see more and more of that as we get into the latter part of the year here this year, because we're hearing more and more for that type of interactivity between the dealer and the end user through the app that we're providing. So great suggestion. By all means, let us know, how important these things are to you, and we can make sure they can move their way up. We can do pretty much anything with the technology, and it just takes time and takes the right level of investment on our end. But we've been ramping up our team of engineering. We'll continue to do so to make sure that we can meet the market needs and keep this platform rolling here.
Okay, the next question comes to us from Frank Solomon again. It's pretty funny, actually. He's asking about our home automation, our aging in place solution. I think we mentioned during the presentation that it can tell if the oven is off or on. So Frank is asking, how are we able to know if an oven is off or on using our technology?
Yeah, so there are actually Z-Wave enabled ovens. I actually have one in my house. So you can actually connect the Z-Wave. There's also cloud-connected ovens. Now, these are going to be in newer homes that exist out there. But the other thing you do is put a temperature sensor and understand does something exceed a high temp. So there's a number of different ways to skin that cat. But I think the most obvious is to actually integrate into the IoT mechanism within the appliance. And a lot of these newer ones are going to have either Z-Wave and or cloud-to-cloud integration that we can build in.
Well, it's a great point about the temperature sensor. I didn't even think about that. But the Trident sensor can do heat conditions, it can do flood conditions, and it can also do freezing conditions. So it's a workhorse. Great to have a bunch of those around. You never know what you can come up with using that device. Speaking again of the at-home monitoring, Alan asks, does this do fall detection? I know that's something that's coming into the market with the Apple Watches that are able to do that. So have we thought about any kind of fall detection?
Thought about it, yes. Haven't integrated yet, no. So we've been just getting, again, we have about a dozen or so dealers that are pretty heavy into the aging in place types of business case and a business model at this point in time. And that's something we've been hearing more and more of. So right now, that is not something we do, but it's something that we want to build out more and more here going forward. Dave, I don't know if you're still on or not, but I know you've been doing a lot of work in that field. I don't know if you want to kind of share what we've been doing and where we're heading there.
Yeah, in terms of fall detection, I mean, there's devices in the market today. Christopher Baskin, who many of you might know, has a variety of panic buttons, fall detection. We've been in discussions with him about trying to leverage that technology. There's also a lot you can do with video itself, just looking at orientation, gait, and meaning movement and other things. So between video analytics, actual fall detectors, and then, as you pointed out, Kevin, leveraging other wearable devices. Watches haven't made it into the elder care space due to complexities in programming and other things, but there's elements of that advancement that's moving that direction. And me being a continually aging person, I'm wearing one. So as my generation gets to the next decade or two, I'll already be used to it. So I think you'll see continued movement there.
So if Dave falls down, we will be notified, and we'll make sure that you are all aware of it. But we're going to try to keep him upright on 2 feet today. Next question comes from AC. Kind of a neat question. I have a hearing-impaired customer. I need to install bed shackers and strobes integrated into the alarm system. Does Alula have an integrated relay module?
So we don't have an integrated relay module today, but we do have the capability to do more and more with strobes and sensors. Also with sirens. We've got a siren product today that works within the required range. So there's a number of different ways to get that. As far as integrated bed sensor itself, we do have a partner that has offered that to a number of our joint customers. They've either integrated it through, again, the cloud-to-cloud integrations or through Z-Wave. We're looking also to add some direct Wi-Fi integrations on that front. So if the sensor can talk wirelessly or cloud-to-cloud, 9 times out of 10 we can integrate it. It's just a matter of getting, if it's Z-Wave, it's fairly standard. If it's others, it's just a matter of getting an understanding of the priority level, and then we add it to the list, and then we bring in that integration on our end. So it's, I would say we don't have that today other than through a partner that offers that service, but it is something we'll be doing in the future.
One other thing I might add, Brian, is you mentioned that the fact that we're native IP. All of our products, including Bat Connect and Connect Plus, have Ethernet available. We're on that home network. Almost all other devices end up on that same network, and that gives us an opportunity to integrate in ways that other companies can't. We haven't done that, but strobes, there's Z-Wave strobes. We have our own strobe siren coming, which is really built for outdoor. And we have wireless integrations, but being on that local network really gives us a lot of flexibility that most people overlook until you really need to make that mix, that connection, and we look to be able to leverage that rolling forward.
Thanks for jumping in there, Dave. Stay tuned. I see a few questions coming up that might need your expertise. This next one comes to us from Dennis. Does Alula integrate with hardwired cameras and third-party VMS solutions?
Yeah, so actually a couple of our cameras are hardwired today. So we do have those today. We'll be adding more going forward. That's something that we're very, very focused on, is adding more and more. We're also looking at PoE to make sure that we've got, again, the right options for power. So that's something that we'll be adding more and more. But we've got 2 of the models today that can be hardwired powered and hardwired, in terms of the connectivity as well as the powering. As far as the video management systems, today we work with our own cloud infrastructure. We've been talking to a number of other video management companies like Eagle Eye in particular. That's a good partner of ours, and trying to figure out what's the best way to integrate our data. Is it event-based data based upon the events that we recognize? How do we put all these pieces together? So today, no deep integrations on the VMS side, but it's something that we'll be adding in the not too distant future here. And if you have particular companies you'd like us to be talking to and integrating to, by all means, pass those on. But we'd love to hear your feedback.
All right, Scott's asking, what exciting new features will be unveiled next month at ISC West?
Well, Dave, I don't want to steal your thunder because this is your big show and your big reveal. So, are there things you want to add to the list? Or we talked about a couple of them with Brevo and the new user app or user interface and others you want to talk about, Dave?
Yeah, I'm thinking through the presentation. So with Brevo, again, moving into the SMB world, we're doing a lot of use cases around everything's use case based. Unattended delivery, which happens, quick serve restaurants and a lot of other places, being able to tie access and security together in that world. Being able to have single point of management for, adding or deleting users to the system and really leveraging our consistent user experience so that you can manage multiple facilities very easily through our touchscreen. So that's one area of topic. We hit a bunch of new capabilities around both BAT Connect in terms of the number of panels it supports, and we're continuing to expand kind of the features, capabilities, and enrollment process. A lot of our focus now is going to be around simplicity. Brian alluded to the fact that we're adding more programming capabilities and configuration capabilities into the app, allowing dealers and our partners to pursue new markets. And I think you're going to see a lot of advances around simplification of the user interface, bringing your brand forward more effectively, integrating with a broader number of devices, and then expanding into these commercial markets, whether it be with fire communicators, access control integration, or commercial video integration. That's going to be kind of the focus of the show rolling forward for us.
Okay, and we're just going to wrap it up with one last question here coming to us from Scott. He's asking if there's going to be any installation training for us dumb sales guys at the ISC West show. Brian, are we going to have any training at ISC West? And if not, is there any other way that they can get some Alula Pro training?
Yeah, so we'll absolutely have a team of trainers and folks that can do training at ISC West. We encourage you to sign up through our team in terms of spending some time at the booth. We can take you through the system end to end. We're not going to do formal classes, but we've got a very large booth, very expensive booth, I might add. So side commentary, but so that was not a shot at my marketing team. But the reality is we've got some great people there. We're bringing a very full team, including those that are very hands-on with the system. So sign up. We'll get you scheduled. We'll do some hands-on training for you or a few of your friends and take you through the system end to end. We also do training periodically here at our office and also at our distributors. So those are two other ways that folks can get hands-on training out in the field or even here in the office. There was one other question I wanted to answer, and that was there was a lot of question about, do you offer service in Canada? And the answer is heck yes, we absolutely do. We have, full coverage, full capabilities on the Canadian market, as well as the ULC certifications that are required in Canada. So I do want to hit that one here before we close it out, that we love our Canadian friends and really have a lot of brand new customers who have just come on board here in the last 6 months. And so we're really moving quickly up in the Canadian marketplace.
I'm sure our neighbors to the north will appreciate it. That's going to have to wrap us up right here. We're running out of our time here. Brian, thank you so much for taking so much time out of your busy day to answer these questions. I'm sure that all of the Alula pros in the chat box appreciate it as well.
Yeah, no problem, Kevin. Thanks even more so to our Alula pros for taking time out of their busy day. We appreciate you partnering with us, and we'd love to hear more about what you're looking for out of the system as we're, I think we're trying to convey is this system can do pretty much anything. It's just a matter of, where do we focus our time and energy, and we want to make sure we hear from you on where we should be spending and moving forward here. So thank you for your time and your feedback. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, and if you have any further feedback, you can always call us at 1-888-88-ALULA. Join us on our Facebook installer group, or stop by ISC West and see us. I'll be there along with Brian and Dave, and we'd love to see your smiling face. Thank you all again for taking the time out of your day to listen to this presentation, and I hope to see you on the next Alula webinar.